Hey everybody, it's Justice for Comics. It is a Monday. I didn't get a chance to do this video on Friday. I normally try to do these every Friday afternoon. This is the review of the CBSI Hot 10 list. I was heading out of town. My anniversary was over the weekend, so I was heading on my way down to the resort there in Sarasota, so I didn't have a chance to film this. This was the first opportunity I've had, so figured I'd get this out even though it's a little late. Not exactly timely, but that's okay. I'll give you my review of the Hot 10 list and give you my opinions on this. So let's jump into it here. We'll start off with the typical honorable mentions. As they usually do, CBSI typically will put an old book on there that most people don't care about, but they like to highlight an older book, usually a golden age book. All Top Comics number 8, an 8.0, sold this week for $2,640. Ben says, I just had to put this on here this week. This cover is bonkers. Do you think that this was used as inspiration for The Walking Dead number 19? Interesting. Well, it's a woman controlling men, having them tied up. Yeah, I could see. I don't know if that was the inspiration. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think anybody's like, oh yeah, remember that All Top Comics? Which, I mean, I've been in comic books for 40 years practically, and I don't remember. I've never heard of this title, so I don't think this was a reference point for The Walking Dead. But nice try there. I just don't think so. It is kind of an interesting cover, and yeah, I could see why people would maybe want to collect that. But yeah, a lot of these Golden Age books, they're just going to go for money just because they're old, and you don't find very many of them in good condition anymore. You know, as time goes on, time is a bitch. It just destroys most comic books. You know, it's just the way it is. The other one is Catwoman number 4, the Art Germ variant. I think I have that in my collection. It's a cool cover. Almost looks like a photo. I mean, it's so good. It doesn't even look like a piece of art. It looks more like a photo. But yeah, selling around $20 or more right now. Yeah, this was always around cover price. Maybe $8 to $10 was typical to find that in that price range. I don't think there's any reason other than people like Art Germ, and there's a lot of collectors that go for Art Germ. So it's just like Adam Hughes. I mean, there's a lot of Adam Hughes covers that are worth money for no other reason than Adam Hughes did the cover. So I wouldn't expect that to be any different with somebody like Art Germ. He's a good artist. Number 10 is Alien number 1, the second printing, Patrick Gleason 1 in 25 variant. It looks just like the first print, other than I think the first print has a green color and this one has a red. Other than that, I don't see any difference. Ben says the red is definitely haunting. I don't know about it being haunting, but it's just a different color. I don't know. I am more partial to a red cover than a green cover, so I do kind of like the red better. But I also don't think spending double ratio on a second print is the best investment decision. But yeah, it's a black cover. I mean, it could be hard to find this in high grade. Marvel, of course, does not use the best quality paper. If you don't believe me, pick up a cardstock variant cover from DC, or almost any comic book from Boom Studios uses way better cover paper than what Marvel does. So Marvel's cheap, let's put it that way. Number 9 is Once Our Land number 1. This was an old Scout comic book. Came out probably, 3-4 years ago, at least 3 years ago, if I remember correctly. I bought a couple of these. I think I bought them around cover price. I'm glad to see that they're moving up in price, around $20 to $25 for a raw copy. 9/8 are around $100. I don't think this is a tough book to get in condition-wise. I don't think the print run was super low on it. I mean, it seemed like there was always a lot of them on eBay for sale, but Yeah, your local comic book shop probably won't have a bunch of those. Scout Comics, especially 2 or 3 years ago, was not as well known as it is today. It's certainly more well known now. So that could lead to it being a little bit more scarce than normal. They've announced an animated movie is moving forward. Looks like there was a jump just this week on 9/8 have jumped up to $250 or more, and Raws moved up to $50. So I didn't know Raws were normally around 20 to 25. I always thought this was like a $8 to $10 book forever. But Scout Comics, I've not been all that impressed normally with them. I've bought many of them. I've got some of the early Scout books that came out. They do well for a week or two on release, and then a month later you can find them literally in dollar bins sometimes at some shops, or at least on eBay you can find them for cover pretty easily. But once there's a show announced, a lot of these things are getting optioned now. So that's kind of the long-term play. If you're buying some of these independents, you put it in a spec box and you wait for some type of announcement like this. I would say as soon as the trailer drops, that's when you want to sell or unload. If you've got extra copies of this, I probably have at least one extra copy that I probably could sell, and I am considering doing that. Wouldn't mind getting a little bit of money for that and using it towards something else. So that's one to keep in mind. One Star Land number 1. Number 8 is Something is Killing the Children number 1, the Ginny Frizen variant, which I am happy to say I do have one of those in my collection. Pretty high grade too. I would expect it to grade at a 9/8. 9/8s are now selling around $375 to $400 range. Way under the cover A, right? The cover A sells around $1,000 for a 9/8 pretty easily. And definitely this cover by Frizen is way better than the A cover. It is. It's far more artistic and it's just a way better cover. But the A cover was under-ordered. I think a lot of shops pre-ordered the B cover because they know a lot of people love Ginny Frizen, and that's exactly what happened. There were a lot of pre-orders for the B cover by Frizen and a lot less for the A cover, and that's why the A cover sells at a pretty substantial increase over the B cover. But the B cover is still a nice cover. I mean, the Frizen cover is awesome, so I'm glad I have it. I literally paid cover price for it, so same thing with the A cover. I paid cover price for that. I'm glad I still held them. I know a lot of people that sold them at $40, $50 thinking they were getting away with something, and boy, they regret that now, right? All right, number 7 is the Marvels number 1, Gabriel Delato 1 in 50 variant. Is it Marvels? The Marvel? Yeah, that is the Marvels. I'm getting it confused with Marvels. This is a new series called The Marvels. It's the 1 in 50 by Delato. Of course, Delato's awesome. I picked up 2 copies for about $45 each, and I sold one for a little over $100. So I like doing that. If I could buy 2 copies and sell one for it to easily pay for the second copy that I'm keeping in my collection, I'll do that all the time. So I'm not too upset that it's gone higher. I mean, I'm glad the guy that paid $100 for it from me is seeing an increase as well. It's good for him. I was happy because me selling one of my copies for $100 pays for the other one that I'm keeping. I like to do that. I do that quite often. I mean, if I see a cover that I really think will be hot, I'll pick up a couple copies with the complete idea that I'm going to sell one and it will pay for the other one that I'm going to retain in my collection. So, yeah, I love this cover. I'm a big Delato fan, and I want to hold that long term. So, yep, I like that one. All right, number 6 is Alias number 1, Brian Michael Bendis. This is when he was a decent writer. I'm not a big fan of Bendis's writing, especially the last several years. I gave him a try with Action and with Superman. He disappointed as I thought he would. And now, I don't know. I don't see a lot of people really clamoring to have Bendis do writing anymore for comics, but I think the guy should just retire. I mean, he did some nice things. I mean, he definitely built some characters and did well with certain comic books. So I'm not going to say he's a terrible writer. I mean, he's done some good things in the past. His writing has been pretty good on certain things, but I'm not a big fan of anything he's done recently. But this book is doing well. It was a Max series from Marvel. Raws are over $100 now, which is a pretty big jump. This was a book that I guess stayed at that $50 level for quite a while. 9/8. I guess 9/8 had climbed up to around $450 to $500. It's a dark cover. It might be difficult to find in a high grade 9/8, so I could see that. Yeah, I mean, it was a TV show. Wasn't it a TV show? Alias? They based it. I think it's based on this, but the rumor mills are starting that Jessica Jones will be back in the MCU. Maybe another. I don't know. She had a Netflix show for a while. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was entertaining. I liked Luke Cage too. I know they were around. I know they came out around the same time. But I don't know. I don't know at this point. This is a great spec. It seems to have moved quite a bit. This could be one of those books though that you could find in a back issue bin for cheap. So maybe keep your eyes open for that. I know Manny the Comic Collector will be putting that on his list to see if he can find. Number 5 is a book that I am proud to own. Amazing Spider-Man number 300. 9/8 direct edition just sold for $7,400. That's a lot of money. I can't believe this book has exploded the way it has. I have a very high grade, probably 9.2 to 9.4 raw copy newsstand that I picked up for $350. It looks fantastic, especially in a mylight. It's no way it's a 9/8 though. It's got a couple very, very small spine ticks that you can. One of them is noticeable. The second one you actually have to kind of look closely to see it. So I grade mine at no more than a 9.4, which, even that, it's still going for quite a bit of money if I got it graded at a 9.4. But a 9.8, yeah, a 9.8 in that book is super, super tough. I remember not that long ago, what was the channel? I'll give a plug to one of the other channels. A gentleman I've done a couple live streams with in the past, Team CGC 9.8. I can't remember the gentleman's first name. Nice kid from Canada, nice guy. I remember he bought a 9.8 graded copy from a CGC graded copy. I think he paid like $2,500 for it, and I remember after he bought it, he really kind of regretted it because it dropped all the way down to about $1,900. So this was a couple years ago at least. I think at least 2 years ago. So, I don't think he should feel too bad now. His 9.8's worth at least close to $7,000, right? And I think he had a direct edition. I can't remember if he had a newsstand or a direct. Obviously, the newsstand would go for even more money. Newsstand, you'd probably on a 9.8 right now would probably see around $8,500 to $9,000 for that at least. I would think that would be the price range for that for a newsstand copy. I'm happy with my raw copy. It looks really good. It presents well, and I'm not selling it anytime soon, so there's no reason for me to get it graded. But yeah, maybe one day if I decide to sell it, I would definitely get it graded. All right, the next one on the list, number 4, is We Live, number 1. This is the first print. I do have a copy of this in my collection. I bought it. I pre-ordered it a long time ago. I think I paid cover price minus my 30 or 40% discount. Raws are selling around $40 right now. 9/8s are selling around $200. Yeah, it's a cool cover. It's an interesting story. Probably a good one to hold on to. I could see that being developed into some type of animated TV series on Netflix or Hulu or one of those streaming services. So I think holding on to that is a smart decision right now. Number 3 is Berserker number 1, the third print. I know it's not showing up well on the camera. It's a foil cover, that's probably why. So it's not really, probably on your screen it just looks like a black cover. a full black cover. It's a cool cover, though. I did pre-order 2 of these from Things from Another World. I haven't gotten them yet. They usually send out my orders once a month, so I will probably get that in another week or so. I did pre-order 2 copies for about $3 each. I'm glad I did that. Yeah, I think at one point this book was selling for, I think there were several sites asking over $100 for this book. So it looks like the price has settled back down a little bit. But there, I guess the print run was pretty low, around 10,000 copies only. I think that's one of the reasons. I know the second print exploded in value as well. I think that's come back down a little bit. But it seems like a lot of people like the third print of Berserker #1 a lot more. So, yeah, that seems to be what I've noticed so far. All right, number 2 on the list is Black Widow. Number 6, the Raza 1/25 variant. I mean, I like it. It's an awesome cover. I did not pre-order this. I didn't really notice it way ahead of time. I mean, I would have probably, I would have tried to buy this around $30 to $40. But now it's selling around $80, and even the A cover is selling around $15 to $20. I guess there's some new character in there. The word is that this Lucy Nugent character will be part of the future, so who knows, this might be the bottom price for a while. So I guess there's a new character in this issue. So make note of that. Maybe that's one that you want to look for at your LCS, especially that Raza cover, if you can get a good deal on it. If you can probably get it for $40 to $50, that may not be a bad price. Midtown, I think, wanted like $54 for it. More than double ratio. I don't know. I mean, I like the cover, but I didn't feel the need to have to pick that up for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong now because it's $80 book now. Number 1 is Sweet Tooth #1. Jeff Lemire. The trailer just dropped, so of course this is the time to sell. If you have one of those in your collection, I don't, unfortunately. The artwork is, I don't really care for Jeff Lemire's artwork. It's pretty, I think I could draw better than he does. He's a good writer, though. I think his writing is good, and obviously Netflix trailer, I think it's a TV series on Netflix. So the prices are obviously pretty high. 9/8 are selling around $400. Near mint raw copies are selling over $200. This is the time to sell if you do have one of those in your collection that you want to unload and you've been waiting and waiting. This is the time to sell. When you're #1 on the CBSI Hot 10 list and the trailer just dropped, that is typically the high watermark. So yeah, if you're sitting on any of those and you bought them pretty cheap, this is the time to sell them. Put them on eBay. I would highly recommend doing that. All right, guys, so there is your top 10 list, your Hot 10 list from CBSI. I can proudly say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 of the top 10 in my collection. So it's pretty good, 60%. That's way higher than normal. Usually I'm pretty happy if I have 1 or 2. Having 6 is pretty awesome. It's a good list. I like a lot of these books. I think the only one I'm not really in love with is the Alien second print by Patrick Gleason. I think it's for cover price, I think that would have been great to pick up, but having it being a 1/25, that's the only book I don't think is that great, but all the rest are pretty nice, no doubt about it. All right, guys, that's all I had for you. Hope your week is starting out well. I will have another video on Wednesday highlighting the new comic books that are coming out the following Wednesday, so make sure you tune back in, check back in for that. And then on Thursday, I'm going to have my Whiskey, Cigar, and Comic show. I will be interviewing another artist by the name of Casey Woolner. He's a new artist. He's just starting out. I think he's done a couple covers. And I'd like to help promote him and give him some attention and talk about his art. And he lives real local to me. He's in St. Pete, so I will send out notification and confirm all that this week as well. All right, guys. Hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on Wednesday.